Hello, everybody. This is the update on the HTML5 client from Summit 7 in Porto Alegre, Brazil. My name is Anton Georgiev. I work for Blindside Networks, and I've been working on the BigBlueButton project for almost 2 years. Beside me is
Osvaldo. I'm working in the HTML5 project. I'm currently working on IMDT.
Hello, my name is Gabriel. I currently work for IMDT, and I'm working on the HTML5 client for BigBlueButton.
Also with us presenting will be Dan Perrone and Maxim. Alex Zhurkowski wasn't able to come, and all right. So the agenda for this update will be just to inform you on the HTML5 client. In the first phase, it's meant to be a viewer client, and the features that will support are two-way audio and chat, and we also want to have video so we want to view desktop sharing. We want to be able to see the presentation with all the annotation and movements, and we also want to be able to advance slides as a presenter. More of the functionality as a presenter will come in the following updates of the HTML5 client. As a lot of this functionality has already been implemented, so what we have right now is two-way audio and chat. The audio is done using WebRTC. We're also able to view the presentation with all the annotations, with the movements, and we are able to advance slides from the HTML5 client as presenter. What we're missing yet before we cover all the functionality capability for a viewer HTML5 client is we want to implement fully the viewing of desktop sharing. We have already started working on that, and we will give you more updates later in this presentation. Let's spend a moment and talk about the architecture of the current HTML5 client. We have picked Meteor as our framework, and it helps us greatly to achieve our goals, mainly because the synchronization between the server side and client side is almost automatic. The synchronization is done using Mongo database. We have a big database on the server side, and each client has a mini Mongo within it, which contains a subset of all the information from the server side. Typically, when a viewer HTML5 client is running, we have the following flow of events. Let's say the presenter changes a slide. What will happen is we'll send a message from the Flash client where the presenter changes the slide to the BigBlueButton server, and then through Redis, we'll read this message to the server part of the HTML5 client. Then we'll handle this message and update our Mongo collection, which is always synced up to the HTML5 client, which will then change the slide. So the same slide will be displayed both on the Flash client and the HTML5 client. When we have a two-way event, for example, chatting from the HTML5 client, it's a bit more complicated. So when the HTML5 client initiates the event, let's say sending a chat message, the message will travel from the client to the Mongo database on the HTML5 server side, then to the BigBlueButton server, and immediately the message will be displayed on the Flash and on the HTML5 client. If you have any questions on the architecture, we can answer them after the presentation. Let's talk about the framework Meteor and why we chose it. Actually, this part of the presentation was meant to be presented by Maxim, but he's currently not in the meeting. So why we picked Meteor? So we initially started implementing the client with different technology, but we had some difficulties with keeping all the clients up to date. And just because we use so many messages in BigBlueButton, and we had to implement all of these messages one by one and make sure that we stay in sync with the Flash client and the BigBlueButton core. What Meteor does is it comes already with MongoDB. And MongoDB, as we said previously, is on the server side, but each of the client sides has a subset of that collection. So just putting the data in MongoDB automatically allows us to keep all the clients in sync without us worrying about the state of the data. Meteor is built on top of Node.js, which of course means that it means that we write in JavaScript, in CoffeeScript in our case, and typically all the code is done asynchronously. So it's JavaScript everywhere on server and client side. Meteor supports several front ends, which allow us to have reactive rendering on the graphical user interface, which comes really handy when we deal with for example, with the whiteboard, which has multiple shapes. Let's move on. So Danny Perrone will tell us about the listen-only functionality on the HTML5 side.
Currently, in the HTML5 client, we have the listen-only feature. So this is powered using WebRTC and JavaScript. Currently, it is implemented using a SIP.js library similar to that the Flash client uses. And we're considering options such as Verdo, mod Verdo with FreeSwitch for different capabilities for audio. Listen only, it doesn't require sharing of any peripherals. It is just a audio stream connected to the server, and you don't have to share your microphone, you just receive audio from the meeting.
Okay, so about log settings. Now HTML5, the HTML5 client is compliant with the log settings from the Flash client. So the moderators and presenters can control what actions all the viewers on the meeting can do. Now the HTML5 users can be locked on the microphone, and when that happens, they are forced to join the listen-only chat. And about the chat, when the HTML5 users are locked from the chat, they will not be allowed to send any messages. So now let's go to the poll results. So the poll functionality was added recently on BigBlueButton, and the HTML5 client allows users to participate in those polls, choosing an option. And when the results are published, the users from HTML5 client can see the results on the whiteboard. Currently, the create pull functionality on the HTML5 client is not supported.
Okay, I will talk about the user interface. We currently have 3 views. One for landscape users, landscape views, desktop, and mobile. To achieve that views, we are using one code base and using CSS media queries. Besides these 3 views, we have a view with whiteboard in full screen. Here is some screenshots of the portrait and the landscape views from the HTML5 client. As you can see, for the smaller views, we hide some menus and change the chat positions. We support touch events too. Beyond that, on the phase 2 of the project, we are working on the presenter capabilities. We fully support the opportunity to change slides, and we are currently working on the presentation uploading, file uploader, as you can see on the screenshot. All of your user interface are doing based on feedback from the users, and that's it.
One of the last few features for the viewer client was to add the ability to view video and view the presenter's desktop. So that's what we've been working on the past few months. And so this has again been done with WebRTC. And so just an explanation about some of the technology used. Been using WebRTC. It's a browser implemented API, and it allows for browser and peer-to-peer communication. And it allows us to have secure communication, and we're able to do all of this inside the browser using only JavaScript. So the key component of receiving video to the HTML5 client is ModVerto. ModVerto is a free switch endpoint and allows us to use JSON calling and messaging, and we can communicate with the free switch server over secure WebSockets. WebRTC allows calls to originate from the HTML5 client and connect directly to the free switch server. And this allows for sharing media and receiving of all media that's supported through the WebRTC specifications. So how screen sharing and receiving the desktop stream will work is we will create a WebRTC call from the HTML5 client, and that WebRTC call will connect to the ModVerto endpoint on the free switch server. And we will tell the free switch server that we want to receive the video stream for a specific meeting, and free switch will send the video back through ModVerto, and we'll receive it using WebRTC. And it is now with ModVerto, since we can send and receive any type of WebRTC media, we can send and receive audio, and we can receive the desktop video. And this forces us to use secure communication because ModVerto uses secure WebSockets. Using FreeSwitch, this will result in very efficient video streaming, because if there's multiple video streams, they will all be mixed together, and we won't have to receive a separate stream for different videos. And using ModVerto, it allows us to have automatic reconnection in the case of video dropping or a connection dropping.
So Steven asked in the chat if this flash desk share from Java and normal web client appearing if it appears in the HTML5 client on its first phase? So the answer to that question is no, because currently we're not using FreeSwitch 1.6. This is needed for WebRTC sharing and viewing of the desktop sharing for the HTML5 client. In order for us to receive any kind of video on the HTML5 client at this point, it has to go through WebRTC. So in short, Steven, the answer is no, not at this point, but we are planning on supporting that. Right now, all the source code for the HTML5 client is available on the master branch. You can see the link on the slide. So just go to github.com, BigBlueButton, BigBlueButton. By default, you'll be on the master branch. You'll be able to see all the source code on the HTML5 client. And if you're wondering how to build the client, how to start using it in your own development environment, you can see the documentation. We have the second link here. From the HTML5 overview page, you have a direct link to information on how to install the client and Meteor and how to start writing code. We currently have a server which has the HTML5 client already available on it. Just keep in mind that this client is not officially released yet. It's just in the development phase yet still, but you still can try it out, and we encourage you to go to the demo meeting and join through the HTML5 API. You'll be able to participate in the meeting, and I hope that inspires you to check out all the source code and start developing on it. And we're looking forward to completing the phase 1 of the client. So now if you have questions, please write them in the public chat and we'll answer the questions.
Currently, we use the SIP.js library, and from the client, we're able to subscribe to the FreeSwitch server. SIP.js is what's currently used, and we are discussing switching that over to using Modverto as well.
So we currently use SIP.js, and we've looked into using Verto for audio. I am not familiar with SIP ML5, but I think I'd like to look into it. Before SIP.js, we were using JSZip for some time. I'm not aware of SIP ML5. I'm unable to answer that particular question. Again, we encourage you to ask all the questions you have in the public chat, and we'll try answering them right now. So Vasily asks if the video from the HTML5 client will go to FreeSwitch. In the project we're working on right now, yes, this is the idea. So it will be all done using WebRTC and Virtu. But again, at this early stage, we're only looking at viewing desktop sharing from the HTML5 client. We're not looking into sharing video from the HTML5 client. That will come at a later stage. Steven asked about mixed desktop modes. So in the modvert2 and FreeSwitch 1.6 case, the idea is that we publish an RTMP stream from FreeSwitch 1.6, which can be displayed directly in the Flash client. So when we have the WebRTC desktop sharing in place, a Flash client will be able to start desktop sharing without any Java. And all the Flash clients, so the clients that are currently available, they will be able to see that desktop sharing as an RTMP stream. Yes, Steven, both the publisher and the viewers. Yes, all right, understood. Yes, Vasily, using WebRTC. Steven, about desk share, the button on so if you're not using Java for desk sharing, the button will invoke an extension in the browser. We're talking about browser supporting WebRTC, so Chrome and Firefox. And yes, that will invoke Virtu instead of the Java applet. Thank you, everybody, for your interest in the HTML5 client. This session will be published. The video and the audio from this session will be published and will be available. The last question from Vasily. So just to be clear, the plan is that both audio and video will go through FreeSwitch using Modverto. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.